Even decades after her seizure-related death at 38, Florence Griffith Joyner, known as FloJo, remains a formidable force in track and field. As an athletic pioneer and fashion icon, FloJo is remembered for her record-breaking speed and colorful flair. Her late 1980s 100 and 200-meter records are unmatched, solidifying her position in sports history. Even off the track, FloJo inspires athletes with her strong, daring attitude to life and competition. We learn about this amazing athlete who smashed boundaries, reinvented what it meant to be a female athlete, and made an everlasting impression on the globe with her unequaled talent and inimitable elegance. Past Paradise covers the life of FloJo, the fastest woman ever and the pinnacle of elegance under duress. Early life. On December 21, 1959, Florence Dolores Griffith was born in Los Angeles, California. Her parents were Florence, a seamstress, and Robert, an electrician. She was the seventh of 11 children. FloJo and her 10 siblings were raised by their mother after the divorce of their parents, who had previously resided in Little Rock, a town north of Los Angeles. Florence Sr. relocated with her kids to Watts, Los Angeles' Jordan Downs housing complexes. Marquette Fry, a 21-year-old African-American man, was struck in the face with a baton by police during his arrest in August 1965. Florence would have been there for the subsequent Watts riots at the age of 6. Florence Jr. had everything she needed to succeed growing up in the projects with 10 siblings and a seamstress for a mother. She was fierce, stylish, competitive, and athletic. Sibling rivalry. The sporty little girl soon became interested in athletics and fashion, which always influenced her life. At 7 years old, Dee Dee, as her loved ones and friends nicknamed her, started using her mother's sewing machine to try her hand at producing her outfits. She understood she had to wear the appropriate clothing to go head-to-head in a foot race with her brothers. My brothers, in an interview with sports writer Anne LaGuarrie, they would knock me down, and I could not weep, which made me competitive. They aided me in maintaining my competitive edge since they wouldn't let me play with them if I started crying. Additionally, they didn't want me to fool about and seem like a guy in the fashion world. Track and field. She played football, basketball, and volleyball before joining the Sugar Ray Robinson Youth Foundation. More significantly, however, she developed a deep passion for track running. Her athletic prowess was evident from the beginning. At the Jesse Owens National Youth Games, when Flo was 14 and 15, she took home the gold medal. According to legend, she persuaded her high school relay partners to match their tracksuits with long tights. By the time she earned her high school diploma from Jordan High School in 1978, she had broken long jump and sprint records. Although Flo only placed 6th in the CIF California State meet, she got the attention of Bob Kersey, the coach at California State Northridge, who would become her mentor and impact her life significantly. Olympic hopeful. Bob Kersey's national title-winning track program quickly became dependent on Flo. However, she temporarily left Cal State Northridge due to financial difficulties her huge family was experiencing. She started working as a bank teller in 1979 to support her family. However, there was a glimmer of light in the distance. As an assistant coach at the esteemed UCLA by 1980, Bob Kersey was able to help his young protege obtain much-needed financial assistance. 20-year-old Flo almost made the USA Olympic squad that year after placing 4th in the 200-meter final in the Olympic trials. The 1980 Moscow Olympics were boycotted by the U.S. She was bummed out not to be able to compete behind the Iron Curtain, but she did get to know triple jumper Al Joyner. Al said, "I never saw a woman look like that before. She made me speechless." 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. Flo worked with Al's sister, Jackie Joyner, the heptathlon winner who subsequently wed Bob Kersey, her coach, and rose to prominence as one of the most well-known female track and field athletes in the United States. One of the most well-known sports families in the world today is the Griffith-Joyner-Kersey one. Al, Jackie, Bob, and other helpful people helped Flo start winning at the top level. Flo won the 1982 NCAA 200-meter championship in 22.39 seconds and the 1983 NCAA 400-meter championship in 50.94 seconds, helping UCLA win back-to-back national team crowns. She earned a psychology degree from UCLA in 1983 and placed fourth in the 200-meter event at the World Championships held in Helsinki, Finland. In front of her local supporters, Griffith Joyner made her first Olympic squad the following year in the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, where she won silver in the 200 meters. In the triple jump, her buddy Al Joyner won the gold medal. Silver and gold. Even though Flo had won an Olympic medal, women's track and field was not the lucrative sport it is now. Flo was compelled to live in semi-retirement since there was no money. The former athlete returned to her previous career as a bank teller, but now she was counting gold and silver coins rather than medals. She was a beautician by trade. Running was not as profitable as braiding hair and painting nails. An elaborate braid might cost up to $200. Flo's goal was finished as running became less of a pastime. In April 1987, she went back to sports and began training really for the first time in a long time. Wearing a hooded speed skating bodysuit, she won the silver medal in the 200-meter sprint at the 1987 World Championships in Rome in less than 4 months. Flo became known as FloJo and formally joined the first track and field family when she married Al Joyner in October 1987. Training regimen. The husband and wife pair changed Flo's diet drastically. She began her 12-hour training day at 4 a.m. We bought a $150 leg exercise machine, and she did leg curls every night, Al explains. More than 20 pounds each night to strengthen her legs. She put in 12 hours a day at work. They increased her weight training because they were inspired by Canadian sprinter Ben Johnson's explosive start in the starting blocks in Rome in 1987. FloJo was barely 130 pounds, yet she had 320 pounds of squat power. "You have to train like a man to run like a man," she said. But FloJo's detractors claimed that her body came from more than just weightlifting and nutrition. They argued that steroids were the cause of Flo's physical alterations and outcomes. Then one day in a race, FloJo triumphed against Al. They suddenly realized that she was prepared to face the greatest. 1988 Olympic Trials. On July 16, 1988, at the U.S. Olympic Trials in Indianapolis, FloJo ran a 100-meter sprint in 10.49 seconds while donning a special Adidas one-legger purple speed suit with turquoise patterned bikini bottoms and 4-inch-long tiger-striped nails. She had beaten Evelyn Ashford's previous mark by 0.27 seconds, setting a new global record. People were shocked that she had cut the world record by 1/3 of a second, even with a wind measurement of 0.0. Nobody can run so quickly, according to ABC announcer Marty LaQuarrie. The electronics must be impacted in some way by the heat. But FloJo completely outperformed her rivals, setting 3 records for the fastest 100-meter speeds ever by a female athlete during the 2-day trials. She ran 10.70 seconds in the semifinal and in the championship 10.61. In the 200 meters, she also established a new American record, finishing in 21.77 seconds. The outcomes are still a source of contention today. New coach and manager. Florence Griffith Joyner was taught by Coach Bob Kersey twice a week for the 1988 Olympic trials, but she was also receiving training 3 days a week from her new husband, Al. And it was working, whatever Al was doing. After the Olympic trials in late July 1988, Bob Kersey hired Al Joyner as manager and coach. After her husband was hired as her full-time coach at UC Irvine, she moved from UCLA. Her personal and commercial manager, Gordon Baskin, helped her clinch big sponsorship agreements before the 1988 Summer Olympics. Unbeknownst to her, FloJo was about to become the center of attention in Seoul. 1988 Seoul Olympics. Favorite FloJo won the 100 meters in 10.54 seconds at the 1988 Seoul Olympics, defeating opponent and closest countrywoman Evelyn Ashford by 0.30 seconds. Her time of 21.56 seconds in the 200-meter semifinal established a new world record for her. With 21.34 seconds, she broke her personal best by 0.22 seconds to win the 200-meter final. She also took home gold in the 4x100-meter relay for Team USA and silver in the 4x400-meter relay. Oh, and gorgeous, style-forward FloJo pulled it all off with red, white, and blue and gold paint on her 6-inch nails. With 3 gold and 1 silver medal, she was a hero when she returned home, having won the most medals in the Olympics since 1948's Dutch athlete Family Blankers-Koen. Flo said in an interview that she doesn't wear conventional clothing. "I like items that are distinctively Flo. I like being unique. The clothes they provide us are rather basic." Doping claims. There were more world record-breaking sprinters in Seoul besides FloJo. Canadian sprinter Ben Johnson won the 100-meter final on September 24, 1988, and his time of 9.79 seconds established a new world record. However, after discovering stanozolol in his urine 3 days later, the Olympic Doping Control Center disqualified him. The disgraced Johnson lost his medals after admitting taking steroids. Soon, rumors that FloJo had also been using steroids abounded in the sports community. At first, when she beat the record, they said it was wind-assisted, her husband Al said to CNN. They claimed it was drugged when she later won the medals. Darryl Robinson, a former UCLA teammate of Griffith Joyner, charged Carl Lewis, Bob Kersee, and FloJo with possessing or supplying performance-enhancing substances. He claimed to have sold her 10 milliliters of growth hormone for $2,000 in 1988, but his claims were never validated, and he quickly saw his career come to an abrupt end. Retirement. 5 months after setting several records in the Olympics, in February 1989, FloJo made her retirement official at a tearful news conference held at Madison Square Garden. She mentioned fresh commercial prospects. After the Olympics, she starred in TV comedies, promoted Coca-Cola, and made millions of dollars from endorsement agreements, mostly in Japan. Her Barbie doll, FloJo, came with a one-legger speed suit. She also created the Indiana Pacers NBA team's clothes. She retired, according to her detractors, to avoid drug tests. Despite retiring 2 months before random drug testing became necessary, she said she was unable to maintain her fitness with the constant travel required by the financial opportunities around her newfound fame. Al later discovered the true cause of Flo's retirement. Their goal was to begin a family. On November 15, 1990, Mary Ruth Joyner, their daughter, was born. This is not a comeback. As a mother, FloJo founded the FloJo Memorial Community Empowerment Foundation to help impoverished kids. She was also chosen to co-chair the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports by former President Bill Clinton. She was unable to ignore the whispers about her impending return, however. According to a legend, she ran a marathon in 2 hours and 18 minutes, which is untrue since it would have required a sprinter to defeat Ingrid Christensen's 1985 world mark by 3 minutes. While there was speculation of FloJo competing in the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta, she had an Achilles tendon injury that prevented her from making a stunning comeback. Even worse than an Achilles tendon injury, FloJo had a seizure in 1996 while in flight. Furthermore, a family lawyer verified that she had experienced seizures in 1990, 1993, and 1994, and that this was not the first time. Death. The California wonder, Florence Griffith Joyner, suddenly passed away at home on September 21, 1998. Her age was barely 38. "I was getting ready to take my daughter to school when I heard my wife's alarm clock," said her husband, Al. "When I switched off the alarm, my wife was still motionless. Seeing my kid brought me to tears. She was 7 years old." FloJo passed away due to an epileptic episode triggered by a brain anomaly. She was face down on her bed when it happened, suffocating herself. Her death, according to detractors, indicated she had used steroids right away. Al was left to weep in public while the autopsy tests were being conducted. Steroid usage was not discovered during the autopsy. Al could only lament then, adding, "My wife passed the ultimate drugs test in a fitting manner." Legacy. FloJo was put to rest in El Toro Memorial Park in Orange County, Los Angeles. From all around the globe, politicians, sportsmen, and celebrities sent their condolences via a deluge of tributes. Said Bill Clinton, the president, "Her style captivated us, her talent humbled us, and her speed dazzled us." 1995 saw the induction of Florence Griffith Joyner into the USA Track and Field Hall of Fame. Her previous school, the Los Angeles 102nd Street School, was renamed Florence Griffith Joyner Elementary School in 2000. At the Australian Open 2021, Serena Williams wore a one-legger black and red catsuit. Flo-Jo, who was a fantastic track athlete and an amazing athlete when I was growing up, inspired me, said Serena. She had fantastic clothing that changed constantly, and it was always fun to see her fashion. The world's fastest woman. Florence Griffith Joyner still holds the women's 100 and 200-meter records 35 years after her antics in Seoul and Indianapolis. In track and field history, these sprinting records have the longest reigns. Because many sports groups would not recognize her records, an unseen asterisk often appears next to her name. Despite all the suspicions and hearsay, FloJo never tested positive for drugs. These days, manicure salons can be found in Olympic villages, and nail painting is a popular track and field beauty habit. When discussing the legacy of his late wife, Al Joyner said, "Every time you see a lady in the 100 or 200 meters with makeup and nails, that's Florence." She completed the task quickly and stylishly. For all the ladies she opened doors for, particularly, she was in a class by herself. Her brilliance will continue to shine forever. It is also entitled to shine. New FloJo. While FloJo remains among the fastest women in women's track history, Sha'Carri Richardson is another lady who has made a name for herself in running. They both have a great deal of similarities. FloJo continues to hold the record for being the fastest woman ever, but given her remarkable times, many people predict that Richardson may become the next sprinting legend. Richardson, too, celebrates her style, often demonstrated by her striking hair colors and wardrobe choices that highlight her distinctive character. Rumors and outrage were also directed at Richardson. Sadly, she had a setback not long after winning the Olympic trials. Richardson was suspended from the sport for 1 month after testing positive for cannabis. She, therefore, missed the 100-meter competition in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, which was rescheduled for 2021 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Richardson clarified that she had turned to marijuana as a coping mechanism after her mother's recent passing. Nevertheless, she's back and more determined than ever to leave her imprint.